Hey guys, Dr. Bo here, physical therapist. Wanted to talk about a question I commonly get is, do I need an MRI, magnetic resonance imaging? So it's a pretty interesting concept. Number one, I'm going to say about all that, if you're in a situation where you're going to get an MRI, even if you have insurance, double check what the cash pay rate is, because sometimes if you haven't met your deductible, the MRI might cost a couple $100. And with the cash rate, they might be willing to do it for half the price, if not a third of the price. I've heard some fun examples of that. So a lot of things I deal with in orthopedic practice here are with knees and shoulders especially. People with torn meniscus. I have a neighbor right now who has a likely torn meniscus. I have a couple patients with kind of rotator cuff issues, and they asked, should I get an MRI? If I haven't suggested it, then I probably don't think you should, which is usually that piece of that conversation. Very rarely, I'd say 1 out of like 100 patients am I actually in a situation where I say, hey, I think you should go get an MRI. We should get more information here. My main thought process here I want to share is it does give us a little bit more information, but it doesn't really change the concept. If you have a torn rotator cuff and exactly where the location is and things like that, don't change my approach. I'm still saying let's get stronger. We can also get a lot of information from hands-on special tests, as they're called in the physical therapy space. I just had another patient who had the top 3 meniscus tear signs. She was positive for all 3 of them. So that gives us a really good indicator. And she's a medical professional. And that gives a really good indicator. And we were having that conversation of, yeah, it's probably a torn meniscus. And again, what are your options at that point? You can do conservative care, as we call physical therapy, getting stronger, stretching things out, figuring out what actually impacts your functionality and symptoms. We can do surgery. If we're going to do surgery, that's a conversation. And if you're now under the guide and primary care of the orthopedic surgeon, they might want to do that MRI, and that's fine. I'm not here to argue with that. That is their scope of practice. That is their expertise. So if they're going to do an injection, the other bit of this that is not as popular, and I'm going to bring it up here again in these quick social media posts, it's hard to get into all of this, but diagnostic ultrasound can give us sometimes better information, more valuable information in terms of what's actually going on, what damage is going on. And with diagnostic ultrasound, it's usually a lot cheaper, and we could do it more frequently than doing a whole MRI. So we can actually assess how the tissue is healing on top of what are your actual functional daily reports if they're improving. So bottom line is, more often than not, I think MRIs are not necessary. There are definitely situations where they are, but when you're dealing with that situation, go through that thought process of, is this going to confirm something and then indicate that I need a surgery? If you're not ready for that surgery, then it's kind of unnecessary. So anyway, every situation is a little different. If you're interested in talking through your current pain, dysfunction, and fitness, then that's what I'm here for. So hit me up. Dog is having fun now. So, okay. Anyway, let's talk. If you're debating on getting an MRI, give it some thought. All right. Talk to you later.